If you're not sure what career you want, but you know you want something better than what you got, listen up. Today we're looking at 5 careers that have high pay, that are in growing fields, that have opportunities for advancement, and that are easy to get into. Essentially, let's get the most money the easiest way with job security. Medical services managers basically run the business side of healthcare providers. They're probably doing marketing, HR, hiring, firing, building schedules, setting appointments. Basically anything that a doctor or a nurse doesn't do, the medical services manager is going to be doing. Kind of like running a business, except that the business is providing healthcare. And it's a busy job. Basically, you're the go-to for everything except for medical questions. And part of the reason there are so many openings in this field is because it is a little bit stressful. Medical services managers are always on call and often work weekends and evenings. But the money is very, very good. Half of medical services managers make over $101,000, and the field is projected to grow 28% over the next 10 years. Sure, it's a stressful job, but that is one of the very best combinations of high pay and high field growth that is out there in the job market right now. As for the job, you might have to work your way up for a couple of years to get experience to get there, but most of these positions only require bachelor's degrees. Of course, a master's degree will make you more competitive, and there might be some really prestigious offices where they're only going to accept masters, but a bachelor's is more than enough to get started. And there are some really great healthcare administration degrees out there available online. Western Governors has some great ones, Liberty University has some great ones, and you can get these degrees for under $18,000. And if you need help earning any of these degrees or any other degree that we talk about today, I have a link in my description where you can set up a consultation with me. I can help you save time and money in your degree so you can graduate quickly and inexpensively and build a career you love. If you're creative and you want to work in video or film, one of the best entryways is through editing. And this is a cool job because you can work for a company or you can be self-employed. In fact, the video you're watching right now is being edited by an awesome guy named Steven who does both. Thanks, Steven. The job overall is straightforward. Basically, some schmuck like me or some director or, some business who's looking for editing services sends you a bunch of video files, explains the vision for what they want the video to be like, and they say, go for it. That gives you a bunch of opportunities to have vision and to be creative as you build this and turn it into something that people will actually want to watch. Plus, editing is a great place to start if you want to transition into some other aspect of the film industry like directing or writing or operating cameras. But let's talk money. Half of editors make over $60,000 and the field is growing by about 12% over the next 10 years, which is pretty good. And to get an editing job, you might not even need a bachelor's degree. It definitely helps. It helps you to make connections and know that you've learned the skills that you need. But you could potentially start editing freelance, learning the skills on your own, taking online free courses, watching YouTube videos, and getting your start that way. If you do want to speed things up and get a bachelor's degree to do this, unfortunately, there aren't a lot of hackable online degrees that teach editing, but I do have a good friend who's an amazing editor who got his film degree at Full Sail University. Full Sail is a for-profit, so I'm a little bit conflicted, but he seems to be able to do his job really, really well. I love this next career field because I quit my full-time professor job to go and become a logistician myself. Basically, a logistician is the person at a company who is in charge of moving things or people from one place to another. I suppose that could easily apply to like a bus driver too, but a logistician is quite simply the person in charge of supply chain. So let's say my company prints books. I'm going to hire a logistician so that when I've negotiated, where I'm going to get my paper and my glue and my cardboard and my ink from, the logistician makes sure that we have enough, that it gets to the factory, and that once the books have been built at the factory and printed, then they get moved on to the distributors and out there to the customers. A logistician's whole goal is to be as efficient as possible, using the least number of resources to have the greatest outcome. So if you like numbers and efficiency, a logistician might be a really satisfying job for you. And over half of logisticians make over $77,000 a year, plus their field is going to grow by 28% over the next 10 years as well. Now, to get this job, you're going to want to have a bachelor's degree in business, preferably in supply chain, logistics, something like that. Though some companies will accept like just a highly specialized associates, but that is pretty rare. Frankly, there is an awesome business/supply chain degree at UMPI, University of Maine at Presque Isle. That degree is not going to take you long at all to finish, and it would be a great first step towards moving towards this career. Another great way to jump into business is as a human resources specialist. These people are in charge of recruiting, interviewing, hiring, firing, training, managing people, payroll, all sorts of stuff. On a very serious end, they might be managing salaries and benefits, and on a more lighthearted end, you might see them, as like the stereotypical party planning committee. Whether it's on this end or somewhere in the middle, the whole point of somebody in HR is to help make sure that the people side of the company is working, that they are there, that they know what to do, that they're plugged in, and that they're happy and getting the things that they need. Over half of HR specialists make at least $62,000, and the field is growing by 8%. Plus, a bachelor's in HR, or sometimes even just a straight bachelor's in business, is going to be enough to get you into a job like this. And thankfully, those kinds of degrees are available at like almost every single online university out there. But you might say, Cliff, the pay and the expected field growth over the next 10 years, those aren't as high as some of the other jobs you've suggested. Well, that's because this job actually funnels really well into another really good job, and that's an HR, human resources manager. That field is growing by 7%, and half of HR managers make at least $126,000. Those guys typically need a master's, but once you're an HR specialist and working in HR, you might be able to get your master's paid for you. You can start getting experience, working your way up, and before you know it, you should have opportunities to be able to move into a manager role. So overall, I think it's a really great opportunity, especially for people who want to interact with other people, which is what HR is all about. And if you're looking to get started, Western Governors, Thomas Edison, Liberty University all have degrees that will prepare you for this field. And finally, we have not one, but two great computer fields to go into. There are so many great tech careers to go into, but I think that these two are going to be the most efficient ways of starting to earn money quickly. The first is as a web developer. Over half of web developers make more than $78,000, and the field is growing by 23% over the next 10 years. Plus, you only need a bachelor's degree to get in on this. And the nice thing here is that web developers have a lot of variety in what they can be doing. You might be like, Cliff, what's a web developer? Basically, they design and maintain websites. And a lot of them, almost all of them, will know like some level of coding, but within that, like you can focus on user experience, you can focus on success of the website, design, you can do back-end coding. There's a lot of really cool things that you can do as a web developer. On the other hand, you could be a software developer, which is instead of developing websites, you're developing apps and computer programs. It is a little more competitive. For some positions, you might need a master's degree, but there's always a chance you could like work up to that from getting a job with just a bachelor's degree. These folks, over half of them make at least $109,000. Their field is growing by 25% over the next 10 years. So there's a really great career outlook here. And as for the types of degrees that'll get you started in these career fields, I would definitely recommend, again, looking into Western Governors, Liberty University, and Thomas Edison State. If you like working with computers, I would give these a shot. The final thing I'll say about all of these jobs is that you have to actually pick one that you will like. Like if you would hate being a software developer, but you really want the money and the job security, don't do it, because honestly, you probably won't follow through. And even if you do, you'll hate it. What you need to do is to decide two things. Number one, the minimum amount of money that you want to be able to live with. And number two, what you would like to be earning that money doing. Then do a bunch of research, look for jobs out there that involve both of those things. And once you find a few that you like, look at the requirements and start knocking those out. Chances are good that the requirements will involve a bachelor's degree and maybe some work experience. So there's like a ladder, a few steps you have to go before you get there. But as long as you're planning backwards, you know that you'll be moving towards something that you'll actually enjoy and not just another dead end. And if you want help earning a bachelor's degree and you want to do it cheap and quick so that you can build a career that you love, set up a consultation with me. I frequently help my clients save $30,000 to $40,000 and 2 to 3 years of time off their degree in just a 45-minute consultation. And I'd be happy to do it for you. Thanks for watching, and happy hacking.